Admittedly, when we first started Symphogear, we weren't too impressed, to say the least. We didn't think it was terrible or nothing, just that it was fine. And that was that. A stock standard action magical girl show with a lot of big ideas and a solid identity, but a really sloppy and ham-fisted execution.
Symphogear G didn't do a whole lot to fix that. It definitely tightened up some stuff and did a way better job of telling its story from one angle, but, well, there was still a slight problem.
Slight?
Okay, a huge problem. And the less we say about it, the better.
But, you know, the more of Symphogear we watch, the more I start to get into it. A ton of the stuff I had problems with in the first couple seasons was fixed in this one.
Yeah, it really does feel like every season is better than the last so far. Well, mostly. You all know how it usually goes by now. A lot of shows that go on for a while eventually reach this peak, right? Where the new seasons are more like side grades than actually getting better.
And then they eventually fall off the horse and try to jump the shark to bring things back. That's not happening here, really, but who knows? There's still a few seasons left for them to screw things up.
But for now, Symphogear GX is definitely a huge step in the right direction.
Something that really jumped out at me this season was how much tighter the character writing was.
It's something we pointed out last time too. There's a good idea about what makes the girls tick, and every season does a way better job at getting into that than the last.
The obvious standout last time was Maria. I actually really like how they're going about making her closest with Tsubasa this season, building on all the parallels the last season established between them.
Last time we kinda called Maria Tsubasa 2.0, and well, it still checks out for the most part. The stuff with Maria's backstory especially felt like a way better version of what they set up for Tsubasa back in season 1.
But here, they actually delved a little further into Tsubasa's family life, or, well, her lack of one.
Yeah, if we're honest, this season could probably be retitled Symphogear Daddy Issues and still work out. But I like that. It makes the season feel consistent.
It's sort of a narrative anchor that I think the previous seasons lacked. Between Tsubasa's trouble with her own father, Hibiki's absentee dad situation, and even the main villain's motivation revolving around her old man, this season feels a lot more focused.
But not everything had to be connected to that one thing.
True. Chris, Shirabe, and Kirika, even Maria, all had separate arcs that built on what was established about them in prior seasons.
Well, for the most part, I did think Chris had probably the weakest arc. I saw what they were going for, but the execution just made it feel like she was having what I'm gonna call the Super Vegeta problem.
The what?
You know how in Dragon Ball Super, Vegeta's character backtracked and a lot of his character development was undone so he could basically learn the same lesson and have a lamer version of the same arc all over again? That. Nowhere near as bad, though.
I guess I could see how it could come across that way. To be perfectly honest, I just thought her arc was weak because it wasn't given as much time and attention as the rest of them. Or, at least, it didn't feel like it.
That might have had something to do with the pacing.
Pacing?
Did you notice how fast this season felt? It hit the gas in the first episode and, really? It never actually slowed down.
Dude, but I loved that about it. It kept the energy going and kept the tension high.
But a bit more of a break would have been nice somewhere around the middle. Even the beach episode was interrupted by action. The beach episode. I'm not asking for 3 episodes standstill or anything, just a little time to breathe.
I mean, I guess? It's not like every single episode was nothing but action from beginning to end, though. It wasn't that suffocating. I suppose one episode where there wasn't any fighting would have been fine, but I have no idea where they would have put one.
I think they could have just let the beach episode be a break for the audience as well as the girls. Then had it end on an attack to be carried out in the next episode. That's just one suggestion, though.
I don't know. I think if things had slowed down any further, it might have messed with the urgency a little. Though, I guess part of it could be the humor. Symphogear is definitely a series where everything seems totally dire and grim, like 99.9% of the time. I wouldn't call it humorless, but it's way more serious than it looks. The funny moments are pretty mild, and the heartwarming moments are usually happening in between the action.
True, but then again, none of the villains have really lent themselves to a ton of humor. Well, one did. Or tried to.
Let's not go there, please.
Hey, I won't cry over it if you won't.
I just prefer to talk about this series as good villains. Carol, for example.
Smooth.
Shut up. Really though, Carol was awesome. Pretty easily the best of the villains so far.
Meh.
Meh? What do you mean meh?
Don't get me wrong, Carol is pretty great, and she definitely worked better as a villain than Maria and the others did last season. But I don't think the character writing was the best.
What? But we just finished talking about how she fit into the whole theme and…
Yeah, but at the end of the day, her whole motivation was just revenge. It wasn't even creative revenge, it was just destroying the world. Again.
That's fair. I think if the relationship between her and her dad was just a little more complex and the circumstance of his death was a little more nuanced, then maybe that'd have made it better.
Exactly! Carol's still a home run, though. She was way better than I honestly expected. She felt like a serious threat, and I loved the whole anti-magical girl thing she had going on.
Ironically, I think Carol is actually more like a traditional magical girl than any of the actual main characters. I mean, hell, her transformation causes her body to physically age up and everything.
Huh. Good point.
Honestly though, if we're gonna talk about this season's villains, then we gotta bring up the dolls.
Totally! If you ask me, they actually stole the show. There wasn't a lot to them. Carol literally made them for the one thing, and they did what they were built to do.
But they were so much fun to watch. Their personalities were pretty basic, sure, but it worked for them because, well, they were created to be that way.
A major criticism of the anime that a lot of people who don't actually watch anime keep bringing up is this idea that anime characters always boil down to a single trope, and their entire personality is just that trope.
It's the same kind of smooth brain logic that criticizes Superman for being a one-dimensional Boy Scout. Spoiler alert, he's not. Pick up a damn comic or shut your damn mouth.
And setting aside my sister's passion for that particular topic, it's true that a lot of anime, especially shonen, heavily relies on the very overt tropes. While many bad examples take this to the point of a character being one-dimensional. Better cases just use a character's trope as a base.
The best example is probably the tsundere, right? Even people who don't watch anime know what that is, but it's gotten to a point where now people see that a character might have just some tsundere tendencies and assume that's just the entire character.
We get it. Shonen are meant for boys. Kids even. So the characters tend to be pretty simple. But that doesn't always mean one-dimensional. Now, throw everything we just said out the window because the dolls were definitely one-dimensional. But in this case, that was totally on purpose and worked to the benefit of the story.
Nowhere was that more clear than with Elf9, a homunculus copy of Carol, whose role in the story might honestly have been my favorite part. By having the dolls be the way they were, it made Elf9's story more impactful. It was actually a really clever trick.
Not to mention that the dolls were just entertaining. It was neat how they had this dancing motif to play off of the girls and their singing theme. Also, their designs were great.
I did think it was a little annoying how these guys were apparently so damn good that the heroes couldn't get a single win until the very end. I definitely prefer a story to feel more like a tug-of-war than just a slog of suffering until you finally get through.
But Carol's plan kinda meant that any fight win for the girls still would have been a positive for her anyway. So there's at least a little justification for it.
True. Unfortunately, not every villain can be a slam dunk.
Ugh, do we have to?
I don't wanna. Believe me, I really don't wanna. So this Scoober makes a comeback towards the end, completely out of nowhere.
And completely unwelcome.
He's just as obnoxious and unfunny as he was last time. Probably even more so.
Actually, it's probably even worse here since he's just a plot device in this one. He doesn't really need to be in the story at all.
But Riley, he was there to provide some closure for Maria, Shirabe, and Kirika. Yeah, and it was as unnecessary and ham-fisted as his entire role in Season 2. This character sucks. Fight me.
But there is a saving grace. He's gone. He's gone! He's finally gone! We'll never have to deal with him again.
I know, right? Ting Dong the bastard's dead! But seriously, you have no idea how happy I was to see him bite it. And that is not a good thing.
Riley, don't worry. He can't hurt you. Not anymore.
I'm just so happy, man! Let's end on that high note!
Agreed.
So here's the thing. Symphogear GX is definitely a step up from the last two. It learned most of the right lessons, making sure to keep up all the strengths from seasons 1 and 2, and only carrying a few of the old problems with it, while also introducing a new one here or there.
For as sharply as Season 2 improved on the first one, a certain element actually dragged it down a lot. It was still in here, but its inclusion was mercifully short. So the quality of this season definitely feels like it's about where the last one should have been.
Some of the character arcs felt a little redundant. I didn't really get into this, but as much as I liked Maria's arc, I feel like she also already learned at least a part of this lesson last time.
The pacing was also a bit polarizing for us. I know my sister doesn't think it was an issue, but
either way, lots to celebrate about it. Great gains in the character writing.
a memorable and enjoyable villain group.
And, oh yeah, a lot of kick-ass music and action. An anime after my own heart.
Let it never be said that my sister is difficult to please.
Akatsuki. Too easy. Anyway, if things keep up with this trend, I'm looking forward to our seemingly annual look at Season 4. But what do you guys think? What's your favorite season of Symphogear? Is it one we haven't gotten to yet? Let us know down below. The Summer of Magic continues next time. Till then, though, stay tuned!